You see the signing on here with the yellow jersey, the wearer of the Uno X yellow jersey, Ellen van Dijk, is signing on after winning yesterday's Prologue time trial by 0.64 of a second ahead of Marianne Vos. Third place was Katrin Garford from Orica Scott, who finished just 1 second back behind Van Dijk herself. Today's stage is 102 kilometres, starting in Halden and heading east and then north, parallel with the Swedish border, heading up through the lakes and parallel with the Halden Canal before entering a circuit around the town of Meissen itself. En route, there are 2 intermediate sprints and 2 mountains classification points. The first intermediate sprint happened at 25 kilometres and was contested by Chloe Hosking, who won it. Marianne Vos was second, and Mika Kruger of Canyon SRAM was third. After yesterday's prologue and the seconds that Vos managed to take on the intermediate sprint, it means Marianne Vos is now the virtual leader of the race on the road. The countryside the race heads out from is absolutely spectacular, with the lakes providing beautiful views across through the lovely pine forest. It really is a stunning area. And today I'm here with Emma Johansson, presenting the stage for you to watch and hopefully enjoy. Good afternoon, Emma.
Good afternoon. It's nice to be here.
It certainly is. I've never been to Norway. It's always been one of those places on my bucket list, so to speak, and to come here and watch a good bicycle race is possibly the best combination I could come up with, really.
Yes, definitely. I think it's a really good opportunity to visit this beautiful country, as we are seeing the intermediate sprint, the first intermediate sprint after 25 kilometers.
You can certainly see that Hosking wanted that, and Vos went to the front very early, and Hosking's brute power there has taken her over the line, and very canny racing there, I think, from Hosking, sitting on Vos's wheel until the last minute.
Yeah, and it was nice, very nice to see Mika Kruger up there as well, catching a second. Yeah,
yeah. She works very hard for her team, and it's great to see her getting some of the plaudits. And there you can see some of the stunning countryside that the race goes through today, with the lakes on your right there, and it really is everything I'd hoped Norway would be when we arrived. Trees, forests. The route itself is not entirely hilly today. It undulates gently up and down, and shouldn't present too many problems to the peloton today. As you can see, the group is still all together following that sprint, and we're heading towards the first mountains classification of the race. In fact, this is it. They're at the bottom, and it comes very shortly. You can see the start sign just passing it now. It's not a big hill, and it shouldn't break the peloton. Anushka Costa there, the former Dutch champion, leading the peloton up. You can see Megan Garnier, who won the race in 2015, sitting very quietly at the back, third wheel there. There's silence coming up the outside here. Coming to the front looks like Danny King to me.
Yes, it does. And like you say, this hill, this climb, the KOM, is it's about 1 kilometer long,
yeah.
But it's not very steep, and it's not a climb where you can make a big difference from going from the bottom. So you can see now it's actually a whole peloton riding up towards the summit, and it's going to be more or less like a normal sprint, I think.
Is it just a case here that the peloton are looking to set up someone to get someone into the jersey for today?
Yeah, I would say that. It would be certain teams that maybe have a goal for this week to bring home the KOM jersey.
And you can see all the main protagonists here. You've got Alla Cipollini, Wiggle High Five, Silence, Francis Desjeux, with yellow jersey Ellen van Dijk of Sunweb sat in there quite happily. Oh, off the road for Megan.
Yeah.
And took Giorgia Bronzini with her there, I think.
Yeah, it's still, is it a couple of 100 meters to the top now?
Yeah, Janneke Ensing here on the wheel, clearly going for it. She took second place there. I couldn't see who took third.
Malgorzata.
Malgorzata.
Yes, Jasinska, the Polish rider.
She's taken first, the Silence. Yeah.
She did. And then we see Koster was third over the top.
Yeah, with Megan Garnier there being left to close the gap on the descent, which we've just driven the course, and it's quite a steep descent. It's certainly steeper on the way down than it is on the way up. Anyway, today's stage is the second stage after yesterday's prologue, which was a 3-kilometre route around the town of Halden. As I explained earlier, it was won by Ellen van Dijk with Marianne Vos second, and Katrin Garfoot in third place. Lisa Klein, the very, very promising young German rider of Sevilla Bigger, came second in the prologue. Today is a gently undulating stage, as I've explained, through the beautiful eastern Norwegian countryside. And we have two further stages on Saturday and Sunday to come. Tomorrow's stage is a 140 kilometres between. You'll have to do the pronunciation here, Emma, because you being a native of Scandinavia.
It's between Sarpsborg and Fredrikstad.
Okay, that's Sarpsborg and Fredrikstad.
Yes, so that's closer to the Oslo fjord, so closer to the sea.
And then on Sunday we have the Queen Stage, which is in fact the longest race of the entire women's season at 158.6 kilometres. And it's actually over 160 kilometres with the neutral stage, and that starts in
Svinesund, and it goes into Halden.
Yeah.
Actually races over the border into Sweden.
Yeah, it starts. Svinesund is the actual border, isn't it? And there are two bridges there, and you head the route heads south into Sweden, and then crosses in and out of the country on two further occasions. That'll be an interesting day. It's quite a hilly day, and clearly the GC will be decided anyway on the final stage, but I expect there to be some big gaps
on the last day. But that's the thing with the stage races, it can happen any time, and you never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And being a GC rider, you need to race up and near the front the whole time, and you need to be alert. You can't relax for a single moment, because then the race can drop out of your hands before you know it.
Having done that, how stressful is it having to manage yourself? Because it takes a lot of concentration being at the front of a peloton. How stressful is it to keep in that place throughout, you know, multiple stages, multiple days?
It is very stressful, but back to how important the team is for you, and having the support from your teammates, just to know that they are there for you, maybe help you with bottles and drinks, and to also take some wind for you and keep you in position so that you don't need to do all that work yourself. And everyone who is here for the GC have a good support from the team.
Yeah. So today's stage, there's an opening circuit of 60, I'll start that again. An opening loop of 81 kilometres before we come on to the final circuit, which is around Miesen itself. And we have 3 twisty technical laps of 6.3 kilometres. Now in that, there's a hill. They do the hill on 3 occasions, but on one of those occasions, it counts towards the Queen of the Mountains competition. And that comes at 91.7 kilometres, so just 10 kilometres from the finish. Do you think possibly that hill might have some effect?
I think the whole lap itself is going to have a big effect on this race. Like you can see, the peloton is moving very slowly at the moment, and not a lot is happening. It's not a lot of attacks. And because the girls know that coming into this lap, it's going to be about positioning. It's twisty and cornery. It has a gravel section in it.
Yeah.
And with this hill, even though the KOM comes like on the second last lap, the same hill comes one more time, and it's only 3 kilometers from the finish. So I'm sure that that is, maybe you will see a smaller group escape, but for sure it's not going to be a compact peloton coming in. It's going to be stretched out, and depending on how the team are racing, I think it's gonna split up, and it's gonna be a long string coming into the final. And you need to be in position before coming into that, the gravel section, but of course also the hill.
Yeah. The gravel section has actually been built recently and specifically for the race in order to avoid the railway crossing. So there are regular trains through here that go to between Halden and Oslo, and so as a consequence they didn't want the race to be disrupted. So a small, short 75-metre gravel road has been built to ensure that that's been avoided. As they come into town, into Miesen, and head onto the circuit, the final circuit for the first time, they will in fact contest the second intermediate sprint. So that adds another dynamic to the race, where the sprinters, or those looking for the bonus seconds, of which there are 3, 2, and 1 on each intermediate sprint, they'll be looking to be in position for those. Do you think that the people looking for the bonus sprints will be different people from those looking for GC?
Like we could see Marianne, for sure, she was going for the intermediates. She knows it's going to come down to seconds, and every second that you can gain under the way, the more advantage you have of your competitors. But then you could also see Chloe Hosking. She was up there in the mix. Depending on how it's being raced, that's the thing here. You never know. The circuits are hard. They're rolling. But it's circuits that everyone can handle. And I think that is, depending on how the team choose to ride.
And here we go, Lenswell Kuota giving it a good attack here, followed by Orica Scott, and I believe we have Sport Flanderen on the back there, perhaps one of the Droit sisters. I can't see which one it is, but it doesn't look like WM3 want anything to go there, do they, with Costa on the front, managing the front of the peloton.
I think it's always some teams that want an advantage before they come in on this technical circuit. And if they could come in there with maybe 30, 40 seconds, maybe stay away before the hill, then they can have a chance to be there if it splits up in the back. But like you say, the WM3, they are really taking control, and they are bringing it back.
And another group trying to go away there. Do you think that the length of today's stage means that whilst it may be aggressive and high pace, that no one's going to be allowed to get off the front?
I don't think we're going to see a breakaway until we enter the circuit. But it's racing, you never know.
And I'm imagining the break will be more an erosion, with riders being dropped off the back, as opposed to a break of people unlikely to win the race.
There are a lot of attacks going from the front, but it's no one that gets the space. You see Marianne is placed now in third position. She's also in the green jersey, which is the
Simployer points classification jersey.
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting that she's there at the front though. Where have her team gone? Oh, there's someone here on the wheel of the Velo Concept rider.
Yeah, it looks like Kaisha Nuadoma, who's...
Yes, it is, yeah.
I think that is the thing when you... In the team, it's so important that you do split the work, and so that not a single rider needs to take attack after attack after attack. Once you have your teammates there, if you take one each, then it won't be too much work for you.
Yeah, they're certainly Vela Concept. They're a Danish team. They're not too far from home. I would have thought they'll want to get themselves seen, but it's all back together. Slowed right back down, and interesting Garnier at the front.
Claudia Lichtenberg.
Yeah.
See.
Danny King, Rosella Rata.
And then we have the Norwegian champion, Vita Heini.
I understand you know Vita, yeah?
Yes, I do know most of the Norwegians, or the girls that are racing for Team High Tech.
It's good to see Lenswell. They've been quite aggressive in recent months. They were certainly very aggressive in the Giro Rosa, and it's good to see them showing themselves on the front.
Oh, here you see a
and here goes Danny. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I think Danny tried to break on her own in the Giro, and she looked over her shoulder with 150 k's to go and decided it wasn't much goal. But I think with 36 kilometres to go, it'll be something. I imagine what they'll do if she can get up the road, then there'll be and there's Costa getting a new bike, Anushka Costa, with the bands, the Dutch bands of the former Dutch champion on her arms there. And Anushka's a really promising rider. I mean, I think it's her birthday on Sunday, in fact. So she's a very promising rider. She's only very young. And she crashed there. There's that blood on her elbow, I think.
Yeah, would be good to celebrate with a win down, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But I don't think her winning the Dutch Championship in 2016 was a fluke. I know she wasn't the favourite to win it, but I certainly think she's a rider of immense promise.
You see that quite often with the riders that are on bigger teams. They always have the bigger stars in the team. They are used to working for others, and it's not always that they do get the chance to perform themselves, but like you say, they always have a big engine. They have the talent, they are there, but they are used to being in a different position, and some might be surprised that they are winning a race, but I think it's more just a proof of the strength of the helpers.
Yeah, and Drops, the British team, just trying to send someone up the road there. That could scupper Danny King's chances as the peloton are likely to allow Drops to take her back. Interesting, talking about Costa, she won the stage 3 here last year and was third on GC as well when she was with Rabo Liv, and this race has been dominated by Rabo Liv over its previous 3 editions, with the team which is now morphed into WM3, taking the first 3 races as places on GC in both 2014 and 2016, so it really is their race. It appears that there's a bit of easing in the peloton here with Danny King up the road. People are happy to let it go, and you got Lizzie Holden, the Drops rider, was the one trying to go off the front there, and it looks like Costa may be struggling to get back in.
I think she's fine. She can see the peloton in front of her, and what's important when you do have a bike change like that is to stay relaxed and not stress and use too much energy in coming back. It would have been different if you were really in the final or closer to the final, but the peloton is not moving very fast, and she's in the convoy. She can go between car and car, and I think it's very important to not stress too much, to spend too much energy.
Yeah, and it is one of the Droit sisters here from Sport Vlaanderen, Guy Dor, giving it a go off the front. It's good to see them being active.
Yes, it's very nice.
Danny looks like she might be... she's closed the gap really quickly, but that's because the peloton is closing her down.
That is the thing. Danny had a really good attack, but of course she was hoping to have someone with her. To go alone for 40 kilometers.
It's too much.
It's too much.
It's interesting to see. I wonder who Silence are working for today. If it stays together for a bunch sprint, they've got Kirsten Wild. But there is Sheila Gutierrez, who is certainly an incredible talent and a promising rider for the future. Won a stage of the Giro Rosa into Baronisi at the front of a breakaway, and also beat won Les Samines des Dames, beating Dutch rider Bulls Dolmans, but there's no surprise if it's a Dutch rider on Bulls Dolmans. Amy Peters into second place on a horrible day, I seem to recall, back in the spring. Vela Concept going on the right. Of course, Vela Concept are one rider down after yesterday, when Louise Norman Hansen crashed on the prologue and has sustained some injuries, though she was in the hotel this morning and is apparently fine. Went to hospital for a checkup on some bruising and cuts to her head, and but is apparently fine. There's Rosella Rata there on the back of, I think that's Lucy Kennedy of Australia.
I think what Danny felt when she went away in the breakaway as well is that alone on these roads, it is very heavy. It's a lot more heavy than you think, but once you sit in the peloton, it's very rolling and it's easier to escape and like to just hide in the peloton. But once you're on your own, you can just feel, you feel the tarmac, you feel that it's harder, you feel that it's hilly. While in the peloton, it's
there is a bit of a breeze,
rolling.
but it's difficult to see. It's nothing. It's not a major wind, so riding into any kind of wind on your own is always very difficult. But
I think here as well, it's like the picture says it all. It's a lot of forest, a lot of trees.
So you're sheltered, aren't you? From
you
the
are
wind?
very sheltered. I think tomorrow is going to be a different story when we go towards the coastline or of the Oslo Fjord, and there it might be a lot more open and windy.
Because the stage follows the coast for quite some while, doesn't it? As it heads back down towards Fredrikstad. Yeah. You can see there the result of the last Queen of the Mountains competition, which was as we called it.
Yes, with Jasinska.
Yeah.
At the moment have the most points.
She's come on this year since she moved to Alessi Cipollini. I think I felt that over the winter that some of the riders that Alessi Cipollini added to their roster, there was they were certainly trying to internationalise and to broaden themselves out from an Italian, just a solely Italian team.
And here's see the big pink rider Sanguinetti alone as well. It seems like the peloton, they are okay with letting a single rider go up the road, but once the group becomes a little bit bigger or another one wants to jump across, then
they're not happy.
They want to bring it back.
And it's Australia still on the front there, I think. Yep, Australia still leading the peloton. It's interesting that the professional teams are leaving the chase to the national team.
Yes,
There's a bit of experience.
Yeah. And there, Emilia Fahlin as well, the Swedish rider for Wiggle High Five.
As soon as the Australian rider pulled off, Emilia stopped pedaling.
Yeah, I think they can see the distance is not that long. It's a single rider.
The area they're riding through is a big timber area, and the lakes and the canals, the Halden Canal that links them, goes all the way down to the sea, to the Oslo Fjord. It's part of very much the industrial history of this area, in that the logging would be taken down through the lakes. But that's an industry that's, well, the transportation of that industry is mostly done by road now. But the area is truly beautiful, and I would suggest a good place to come and bring your bicycle or mountain bike, or come walking. It's a beautiful area.
Just drink coffee.
Or just drink coffee and watch
That sounds
bicycle
like it.
races.
Yes.
Yeah. We haven't seen much of Bulls Dolmans. All we've seen is Megan Garnier very near the front. I wonder what their strategy will be for this week.
I think they have a lot of different cards to play as well. Chantal Black is here. She's also very, very strong. Amalie Didriksen is back. She was doing the team time trial in Vårgårda in Sweden last week. She did not do the road race on Sunday. And then you have Majerus as well.
Majerus is another rider that win on most terrains, isn't she?
Yeah. She was 4th, I believe, in Sweden.
Yes, she was 4th in Sweden. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Just lost out on a podium place in the very final seconds, really. But they've of their 6 riders, they perhaps only have 2 that you would describe as pure domestiques, with Jip van der Bos, who's just back from a broken arm, and Kasia Pawlowska, who is perhaps a pure domestique as well, but again incredibly strong, like the whole team.
I think that is the thing. This type of race, suddenly a breakaway goes, and if it's the right constellation, even like, you never know. That is the thing that has changed these last years, that you are never for sure how the race is gonna unfold and how the teams are gonna race.
There seems to me that there is a much greater spread of riders who are able to win than there were 3-4 years ago. Is that how it's seen? Is that how you see it? Last year when you were still riding, did you notice that?
Yeah, you can definitely see it. It's a big difference in the way the team races tactical, and also how much stronger in general the teams are, and like I was saying, how many different cards they have to play. So you could flip it in different ways, depending on the situation and depending on how the riders are feeling. If the form is there or not, it also has a big thing to say. Like 10 years back, when in the beginning of my career, you could win a race without being in form, but here it's impossible. Unless you're in good form, you can't get away with a win.
Yeah, and that's got to be a good thing. That now we're getting things like today, where we're able to watch the race live. Is that we have no idea. Before there's been periods in women's cycling that we kind of knew who was going to win. And perhaps even last year we knew it was going to be a Bulls Dolmans rider, but now we don't have a clue, do we?
No.
We were discussing earlier how Marianne Vos is perhaps the favourite of both of us for winning the GC of this race, but we're not as sure as we would have been 4 years ago, are we?
No, I think what you do see, like I said, the strength of the team, it's more spread out. The strength in the peloton is more spread out through the teams, and unless you can race really well together and make good tactical choices, then it's going to be very difficult to win a stage race like this. It's 4 days of racing, and you need to play all your cards right. And like we were saying, we were talking about Marianne Vos, how she's back to being Marianne and how strong she is, coming back from the Europeans as the European champion, seeing her back in a champion jersey, and just the glow on her face. When she turned up in Sweden, you could just see that that she's back, she's hungry, she wants more, but also that she's making her decisions on what to race, and she's picking her moments. She didn't do the TTT in Sweden, but she's there for the road race and not far away from winning. She was second in the end after Lotta Lepiste.
Do you think that her being more selective in those races that she picks to race will prolong her career?
I think so. I think it's, I do believe so. You see, they are very aggressive, silence. They really want to be in that little break. And it's Jasinska who is trying to jump across.
She's getting a bit of help there from the motorbike, I think, but they've just pulled in. They've just pulled in, but they've been incredibly aggressive recently, and obviously that paid off with the stage win at the Giro, but they have been an incredibly aggressive team, and I think they've done an awful lot to enliven the racing over certainly this season. But their team manager and director sportif Manel Lacambra is of that mind. I think he's quite aggressive-minded when it comes to his racing.
Yeah, I think it's a good way of using all your cards as well. We were talking about how they have Kirsten Wild in the peloton, one of the best sprinters in the world as well, if it comes down to a sprint in the end. But it's always a good chance for them to also have a chance if a break goes up the road.
They're just coming in towards the circuit now with just 26 kilometres to the finish. They enter the circuit with 19, or a fraction under 19 kilometres to go, and then with 18, 2 kilometres later, they then hit the second intermediate sprint, where there are 3, 2 and 1 seconds. So now we have Sanguinetti and Malgorzata.
Yeah, you can see that. Jasinska, she actually went up to her like, come on, let's go. Where I think Sanguinetti, she thought the peloton was there. But they actually do have quite a good gap, and it's no... I think it's a good chance for them to hopefully stay away all the way into the circuit.
I mean, I think they've got about 10 seconds, 16. We have 16 seconds there, and there doesn't seem to be any commitment at the front of the peloton there to bring the gap down. We've got Wiggle there. Is that Danny King as well, sort of patrolling the front to try and disrupt any chase, maybe? Lotto, we don't have WM3, we don't have Bulls Dormans.
See Marianne in the points jersey, the green one. It's a bit confusing. You could also see Catherine Garfoot in the mountains jersey, the points one.
There's Catherine Garfoot there in the points jerseys. In the
polka.
Yeah, in the QRM jersey. They were all awarded yesterday, despite the fact that the prologue was pan flat. The jerseys were awarded. So obviously the leader's jersey went to the winner of the stage, Ellen van Dijk. The points jersey went to Marianne Vos. And the Halden Canal Mountains classification went to Catherine Garfoot. The best young rider is Lisa Klein of Savella Bigler, and she'll be wearing the Eidsberg Sparbank jersey. And the most active or most aggressive rider went to who won, was it 10 kilos of
salmon?
Salmon,
yes.
yeah.
Sounds lovely, doesn't it?
It would have been worth perhaps racing for 5th.
It would. If I knew that it was who was going the fastest to the turnaround point yesterday in the prologue, maybe I could have started.
Yeah.
I still would be nowhere close to winning it though.
Were those short prologue type efforts not your thing?
I could do it quite well, but I think the older I got, the more diesel I went as well. I just got slower and slower. But with a good warm-up, maybe. Or maybe I could have got some dispense the fact that I'm older, I don't know. But I think it's a very nice prize. Every day they have this prize for the most aggressive rider of the stage. You do win 10 kilos of salmon.
I think last week at the Arctic race of Norway, the men's race, which is further north in the country, Bernie Eisel won 500 kilos for winning the I think it was 500 kilos for winning the King of the Mountains competition overall.
Oh, that's a lot of salmon.
Yeah, it's a lot of baggage to get back on your flight back to Austria for burning. You see, Wiggle High Five, your old team, were coming to the front there. What do you think they'll be aiming to do today? You know, another strong team with a number of cards to play. Who's today for, would you say?
I think it's the same in a lot of teams. You do have different cards to play. Where for Wiggle High Five, like at the moment you can see Nette Edmondson in the front and Julie Lett protecting their sprinters a bit with Julie Dord and Georgia Broncini straight after them. I think it's a stage where a rider like Emilia Fahlin and maybe even Julie, if they can go in early or in a break on that circuit before the finish, then they would get their chance. But if it comes down to a sprint, I'm pretty sure that depending on the daily form between Giorgia Broncini and Julien, depending on who's feeling the best, they will support one or another.
With that climb on the final circuit that they have to take 3 times, do you think it's more, today is more a day for Georgia than it is for Julien?
Yes, probably. I haven't ridden the circuit, and it all depends back to how it's being raced. If it's very aggressive, it's more about being a tent, being up there, being in the race, and yeah, you can see that it's going to be, they are coming closer. It's only 3-4 kilometers before they are entering this circuit, and you really want to be in the front.
Yeah. What does someone like Georgia bring to Wiggle? I mean, she's been there since the team was created, I think in 2013. What do you think she brings to the team? In 13, she was the winner. She won a bag load of races. She's not winning as much now, but what is her value?
Oh, she's so experienced. She has the racing mind. She thinks racing. Most of the time, she is road captain on the road. Just because she can make fast decisions. Oh, here's
Claudia Costa
from Bela Concept.
Yeah. There's Christine Mayus moving in there. And is that Lippert from Sunweb?
But no one is interested to take over. Still, no. Maybe too early to spend the biggies.
Sabrina still teens. We're now approaching the circuit. When we arrived, sadly, we had to go the right way around that roundabout. They're getting away with it there, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's a real pinch point, isn't it? You can see the girls at the back nearly stopping. This is...
Well, the first ones are just rolling through and keeping the speed.
And the gap's coming way down now. It was up to 16, but now they've lost 10 of those seconds.
Yeah, once it starts racing aggressive in the back, you see it's one attack, and the distance or the seconds between the two leaders and the peloton just shrink so fast.
How does that feel in a breakaway? I'm guessing it's a long time since you were allowed to get in a breakaway, really. But how does that feel when you can feel them bearing down on you?
I think when it's still 20 kilometers to the finish, it's okay. It's worse when it's 1 kilometer away and you can feel them breathing in your neck. And now you can see the whole WM3, the team from Marianne, they are at the front. They are pacing the peloton. And yeah, it's Kaisha Nuyadoma in the front, and they really want to bring this back before they enter the circuit so that they have 100% control and can create the race like they want to. You can see in the polka dot jersey, Catherine Garfoot from Orica Scott as well, up near the front, keeping herself close to Marianne.
And Nobles, here they come.
See Christina Magirus to the right with Megan Garnier in a wheel, moving herself up to the front.
It's good to see WM3 being so aggressive, because they perhaps in some races haven't had the strength or you know, before Voss's sort of comeback, if you like, at the Euros and her steady increase in form throughout the season. I mean, we shouldn't forget that she won Herardsbergen Huyck with your Dutch pronouncing is better than mine.
I didn't want to laugh, but it's good.
Yeah. She won that in an incredible fashion. So she's been coming back. I think the collarbone broke at the women's tour has upset her summer clearly, but you know, the team now have confidence that they have the ultimate winner.
Yeah, you see they are.
So they're within 1,200 meters of the sprint now.
I'm gonna pop my head out and see if I can see them, because we're sitting right above the finish line here, where they're gonna collect some seconds. Yeah, so they are 1 kilometer.
Yep. So they're doing essentially they're doing an absolutely full lead out for Marianne here, aren't they? They've got the whole team on the front.
Yes,
is that Monique just flicking her elbow?
Yeah. You can see it was Jolien Door riding the wheel from Marianne. I couldn't see Chloe Hosking.
No, I can't see any. There's a yellow, but she's about 25th wheel there. So they're just coming down now with a massive stream of motorcycles coming past the commentary box here on the finish line in Meissen.
Yes, and here they comes around the corner.
And here they come. Garnier, that's Garnier looking for time there.
Oh.
We've got Voss, Garnier and Jolien Door.
She even had time to relax a bit in the end. But that was a brilliant lead out from Marianne's team.
It was, and that's really good to see. And it's something else that adds towards the depth of the peloton, because they were, I wouldn't say anonymous, but we didn't see an awful lot of them early in the year, and now they're flying, and it's fantastic to see an attack here. Is that
Lea Kirchmann who's up the
I
front
think it is. Yeah.
You see just by that lead-out train from the WM3 team how strung out the peloton is, and they haven't even started attacking yet.
Yeah. And this is tight. This is a tight circuit around Meissen here. And Voss is being forced to do the chase here.
Yes.
Which is an interesting little dynamic. But she's so strong.
It's a very long peloton.
And now they're onto the back end of the course here, and they're Linda Willemsen.
And Garnier's want to join that with New Adom also following it.
But interestingly, Voss is going backwards here. We have New Adoma.
See Jolien Door. Was it Lea Kirchmann still up there? But this is the thing, once you do the intermediate sprint, it takes a lot of energy out of you, and you need to be prepared to go in the jumps that can happen afterwards. And because for sure a lot of these girls, either you go for the sprint or maybe you do plan. It's a good moment is to plan to attack straight after an intermediate sprint.
It's good to see. And Voss is just getting on the back of this group now, which is about 9 riders. It's good to see Linda Willemsen. She was active at La Course, and it's great to see her back in the peloton because she is very aggressive.
Yeah.
I love to see her racing.
Here comes the gravel section.
Onto the gravel road.
It's only 75 meters long.
I wonder if this little group will stay away, and it looks like they're coming back again. But as you've explained earlier, the erosion, if you like, of the strength in the peloton and the tightness of the course, there will be a break in the elastic, I'm sure, on the next time round perhaps. And we've got Christine Meus coming across, with Silence being forced to lead that chase.
That is what we were talking about, how it's being strung out. Now you see, they even get a gap.
Kirschmann's got a gap. Kirschmann's blown, it looks like there. And sure, she's letting someone else do the work, of course. And Jolien D'Or.
Yes,
still up
very
there.
good. I think it's of course everyone, but it's very important with the positioning. If you're up there, then you have a chance to attempt all these moves. But if you're already in the back, when the WM3 were pulling the sprint for Marianne, once the sprint is done, the attacking start, and it's no way you can come back unless it really stops up. But as we see, Linda, she's very determined, and it felt like she was on a mission after that intermediate.
This is going to come back together, but it won't stay together. I'm convinced of that. What do you think?
I think this is what I love about races. I love the technical laps. I love when it's attacks. An aggressive race, it's my favorite. And now being able to follow it and talk about it is even better. You see, Catherine Garford is having a chat on the radio, maybe asking, how is the situation? Do I have a teammate up here to help me?
For those of you familiar with the men's side of cycling, I think you could possibly compare Linda Willumsen to Vasil Kirienka, who is just an absolute machine.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought about that. Never compare riders with, with men's, but...
Or perhaps the other way round. Vasil Kirienka follows her style.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She's very strong.
Yeah, she is.
Yes. So there you can see the summit of the QM, but this lap it's no QM, it's the next lap where you have points to collect for the riders. But you could also see that actually on this hill where the front group backed off a bit and let the others come back. So it's not a very steep hill, but it's all going to come down to how it's raced and positioning.
Yeah, Tiffany Cromwell in there.
Yeah.
This is a race for her, do you think, for the team's GC?
Yes, I do believe they also have a lot of different cards to play. We could see Mika Kröger, she was up there taking a second in the first intermediate sprint. Some riders taking a bit of cyclocross shortcuts.
One of them with a bottle still in her mouth. That needs must sometimes, I guess. You know, you're having a drink and then you got to make a decision. Do you drop your bottle or do you just stick it in your mouth and carry on racing?
You can see the Swedish Emilia Frölin coming back up to the front.
What sort of rider is Emilia? We saw her win in Forcorda last year.
She's very strong as well. Her strength is time trialing. She has a very big engine, a very long sprint. I think everyone who saw the race last year in Vårgårda saw that when she's good, she's really, really good. She's been struggling this year. In the beginning of the season, she's had a virus, and now she's finding her form again. She's been on altitude, she's done her things right, and she was doing the Bene Tour in Belgium/Holland in
late July.
Yeah, end of July, and she finished off 4th in the GC, even though she was helping Nettie Edmondson, who ended up being 3rd in the GC. So she was there to work, but still pulled up a 4th in the GC. So and her form is growing. It's very good.
So with the, everything's come back together. So what's happening in the peloton now? What are teams doing? What are team leaders thinking and telling their riders to do?
I think it's a lot of positioning talk in both from the sport directors, but also between the riders. You're looking for your team. Where are you? And you want to be together, because together you're stronger. So that will be the main focus. It's only 13 kilometers to the finish, and it's also for a lot of the girls, this first lap is to see the circuit as well.
Yeah.
So you would have a closer look. How are the corners? Here's 1 kilometer to the finish. How does it look? If we're going to do a lead-out train, where do we need to start? And how technical is it? How are you feeling? How am I feeling? Are we going to stick to the plan, or are we going to change something? And that's communication is very important.
How do you, I mean, the pace isn't exactly slow here. So how do you actually manage to get the information across to each other when, if you're not all together, is it just sort of snatched words while you're out of breath? Or is someone, can you talk to each other on your race radios, or?
Yeah, we do. We obviously we do have the race radio, but it's not always that easy to hear what's being said, and to have some bigger, like, detailed conversation on the radio is very difficult. I prefer to go up to my teammates, look them in the eye, and have a good chat, eye to eye. And
so there's no doubt then, is there, in your mind that they know what's happening?
Yeah.
Here they come. They're just coming up towards the finish line for the second time. This doesn't count for anything at the moment, other than positioning.
Yes, because they know what happened the lap before. I think you don't want to be too far back.
All the fans are banging very hard on the boards as they're coming past.
Yeah,
Christine Mejerus.
Chantal Black was up there in the front as well, and it looks like the whole peloton has come back together.
Yeah, there certainly don't appear to be any riders in the cars as they're coming past us. Kirsty Ruud, is that?
Kirsty.
Kirsty, okay. Was off the back there. It's a horrible feeling when you're going off the back of a bike race. It's the most desperate feeling I've ever had in any sport I've ever taken part in. Is that Megan on the front, or is it Kasia Pawlowska?
Yeah, it's Kasia Pawlowska. Katarzyna, yeah.
The Polish national time trial champion, world points champion, I believe she's been.
You see now, even that the peloton is not speeding up a lot. They came here past the finish line in a big block, and just because of the circuit, how it's getting more narrow, it's a bit cornery, it stretches out. And this lap we're also going to see the KOM.
Yeah.
So they're going to be fighting for the points.
Interesting to see Chantal come to the front here. I wonder if she might be going for Bulls Dolmans for the win today.
Yeah.
Amelie Dideriksen was very near the back. I'm surprised to see Megan Garnier on the front at this stage of the race. You?
I think sometimes a good defense, or if you want to have control of the race, is to go up the front. Maybe not be in the first position like she is at the moment, but like you say, back to the tactics. Might be that they are going for Chantal today, and by putting a rider in the front, you do have control out of what happens, and you can easily cover moves.
Yeah. Onto the gravel road again. That's a big gear, that's a big gear. That's Sabrina Stultins there in second wheel. Sunweb sort of massing on the front here. What can they hope for today? Can they outsprint? Can they, Leah Kirschman perhaps outsprint Marianne Vos? Can they try and keep the yellow jersey with Ellen van Dijk escaping off the front for one of her wonderful solo efforts, or could she outsprint Vos?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's anything can happen. It's racing. What's very interesting is to see Team Sunweb. They are taking now control. They are in the front. They had yesterday in the Prologue. I think all their 6 riders were top 30 in the Prologue. They have in top, Lisa Klein is the leader in the younger classement from Cervelo Bigla team. But second, third, and fourth in the younger classement are all from Team Sunweb. So they have a really strong and young, talented team. And they have Ellen van Dijk, who's in yellow from yesterday. They have Lea Kirchmann, who was 3rd last week in Sweden's World Tour. So they have a very strong team here on set, and you see they are taking control.
Yeah. You see, Floortje Mackay feels like she's been around for ages, but that's not the case. She's 21 or 22 years old, Floortje, and it's she's 21 years old, and what a talented girl. 83, number 83 there is the winner, Rosella Rata.
Yeah.
Good to see her animating a race. She had a sort of, amazing breakthrough year in 2014. Has been a bit quiet recently, I think, but coming back to form maybe.
Yeah.
But she's still so young herself, Rato. She's so Rato Garnier there takes the second place in the mountains. Sabrina Stultins and Juliette Labou, who another remarkable rider. She's one of those younger riders on Sunweb, and at 19 has an incredible future ahead of her, I imagine. Floortje Mackay coming to the first. So we've done with the intermediate sprints, and we've done with the Queen of the Mountains competitions, and now it's about winning the stage and establishing some form of general classification position for yourself. The drops riders look like they're keen for a bit of cross this year.
It's only 9 kilometers to finish. Here you can
So
see
that's
Lea Kirchmann.
With Kirchmann on the front, surely they're not going for her.
You never know, huh?
So here we are with 8.8 kilometers to go to the finish. Who's going to win the stage?
I don't know.
Well, I'm going to put my cards on the table, and I'm going to say Vos is going to win the stage. I just think this stage is built for her. Despite the aggression of the other teams, I think it's built for her, and her recent form has been such that it's just good for her.
I think you might be right, but I'm going to play my card on someone that we haven't been talking about today, actually. Alexis Ryan.
Oh.
From Canyon SRAM.
And I believe that's her. Yes, there
Yes,
you go. Just
the way
behind
from
Kristen.
Santa.
Did you wait until you saw her before you?
No, I didn't see her. Oh, maybe I did.
She's another promising rider. She's had some fantastic performances this season.
Yes, you can see her now in the middle of the picture.
Yeah.
In the black helmet and pink glasses.
What do you think to their kit? A lot of people love the Canyon kit.
I think it looks good.
My wife wants one of the jerseys, but I can't afford a Rafa.
And Velo concept. It's aggressive.
Yeah. So we're coming down now, coming down off the back end of the course, heading back into Miesen, with just 7 Ks remaining till the end of today's stage.
So coming into the last kilometer mark. And then it's 1 lap to go.
Yes. The Uno X sponsors there, who also sponsor the leaders jersey. So you'll see their logo all over the race while you're following it this week. And you'll see it on the finish line gantry, which is right in front of us.
There to the left, you can see Chloe Hosking looking her way up to the front, getting in a bit of better position before the last lap.
It is an uphill sprint, but it's not. It's no more than 3 or 4% maximum, and even then for 30, 40 meters, a pure sprinter like her or Kirsten Wild is easily able to cope with that. Though I'm still going to go with Vos. There's Vos chucking a bottle away. Turning left now onto the finishing straight.
Yes.
With Costa back at the front after a little incident earlier on, back at the front leading for a team. Tiff Cromwell coming up for Canyon, and with Leah Kirschman, I believe that was first across the line.
Yeah.
So we have one lap, and that's just one lap of 6.3 kilometres. You've seen the lap a couple of times, so you know what to expect.
Yes, it goes very narrow straight after the finish here, and then into the gravel section.
That's Katie Archibald for Team WNT, a British domestic team racing at UCI level this year. Katie Archibald, perhaps better known to some for her track exploits as a world and Olympic champion, multiple world and Olympic champion. However, on the British domestic scene this year, she has been absolutely flying. I would imagine she wouldn't want to be leaving here without at least a top 10 on some form of stage, if not a win.
I think all different countries also has their thing, so it always takes a while before you get used to the road furnitures, the asphalt, the peloton. I always like to... Always the first stage was so nerve-wracking, because it's... okay, now the jersey's a little bit set, but because the prologue was so short, it's very open. Most of the time after a big mountain stage, you knew that, okay, now things can actually happen. We see Kaisa Nuadoma, she's taking responsibility in the front for Marianne. You have Koster with Marianne in her wheel.
There's a great atmosphere here. There's cowbells ringing, there's people drinking beer, there's people shouting and cheering, and luckily some of the rain that's been forecast for today has completely held off. We're still riding on dry roads. Once it's over, who cares if it rains? But this is a great display, and there are plenty of people who are out and about watching the race here in Meissen. We have just a short distance ready to get left to go of this 101.5 kilometre stage between Halden and Meissen.
The last 5 kilometre sign. I love to see that.
What goes through your mind?
Racing.
What goes through your mind then when it's a race you think you can win? You've got 5Ks to go. What are you thinking? Do you feel it in your heart and soul, or is it all in your head and your legs?
I think the combination. I loved it when I had a plan for maybe a late attack, or when you had your teammates there and you knew together you could do it, just like they have here. You see Lotta Lepisto is also up there, the Finnish champion from Cervelo Bigla, the winner from last year, from last week. Yeah,
we've barely seen Cervelo Bigla today, and that's a good sign that they've not been out the back and they've not been off the front. There goes Kirschman. Kirschman going off the front, making an effort. I just don't think she's got the power to get away here with Niewiadoma straight on her wheel, and it's certainly one of the Sport Vlaanderen girls that got straight on her wheel.
She's doing such a good work, Kaisa Nuadoma, for Marianne.
Yeah, I mean Kirschman can't hope to out sprint someone like Voss if she's putting so much work in on the front.
Maybe they have a late attack plan for
Floortje.
Ellen. Floortje.
Floortje's there's a team that's put a lot of faith in its women's team. Yeah, and we can see further back there you've got Ellen van Dijk, the Uno X yellow jersey wearer. She's just coming around one of her teammates there on the right-hand side behind one of the Valcar PBM riders. Mika Kroger, I think, number 42. And an attack there from number 80.
Rosella Rata.
Rato, yeah. With
Pavlovska in the wheel.
Pavlovska sitting quite happily on the wheel. And is that Emilia?
Yes, it's Emilia.
Catherine Garford. It's not been as broken up as I thought. I mean, there are certainly a few riders out the back, but Is this a stage for Kirsten Wild? We haven't seen her all day, and that's completely characteristic of her. I have no idea where she is. I haven't seen her all day. There she is there.
Yes,
She's
in the
still
middle
sitting
of the pack
in. Yeah, and this is
number 81.
This is such a Kirsten Wild trait, her ability for a big woman to hide.
Oh,
We've got a crash there, and that's Floortje Mackay. So maybe a change.
Just within the 3 kilometer.
Yes, yeah. And we still have Jolien D'Hoore still sitting in the top 10 of the peloton there, with Amelia Farlin pushing for Wiggle High Five on the front, followed by Kasia Niewiadoma, with Katrin Garth at third wheel, and you have Chloe Hosking sitting fourth wheel with a teammate of hers trying to help her out. I imagine Chloe's professionalism, her experience, she'll be able to manage herself in this situation. Chantal Black moving up in the Dutch champions jersey, with Jip van der Bos just off to her left, and Vos cruising to the front imperiously as she normally does.
With Giorgia Bronzini in her wheel.
Yeah, Giorgia.
She might be
a rerun of the Euros the other week, maybe. Yeah. Ale Cipollini working very, very well for Chloe. That's Chloe there on the left, though, isn't she? She's out of position there. She needs to be on a... Look at that.
And a teammate.
Yeah, amazing. Fantastic. That's good to see Ale as well, battling it out on the front there. Is there still Cassia on the front there? Second wheel for WM3, it is. With number 4, Megan Garnier, still at the front. And
it's Janneke Ensing doing the pace
from
Ale Cipollini, with Romy Kasper taking over.
Lotte Lepisto and Ellen van Dijk very near the front. Interestingly, with Vos sat on Van Dijk's wheel.
And Georgia straight in the wheel from Marianne. I wonder what she has in plan today.
Yeah. It'll be revenge for Georgia if she can outspring Vos after losing out to her at the Euros the other week. It's a real skill, isn't it, being able to navigate your way through a peloton like this at this speed. Lotte Lepisto now onto Georgia's wheel. And to the front comes Christine Mayerus of Chantal Black, with Kasia Pawlowska and Christine Mayerus now in fifth wheel, just to the left of the green jersey wearer, who is Marianne Vos, coming down now with 1.3 Ks to go towards the final left-hand turn, which will bring them up a slight incline to the finish line here in Misen after 101.5 lumpy kilometres through the southeast of Norway. And that's, is that Kirsten Wild? No, it can't be.
Yes, I think so. Third position.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's in third position, and then with Chloe Hosking in her wheel, and then Mayerus. And the young Susanne Andersen from Team High Tech Products is in fifth position at the moment.
With Mayerus.
Oh, and here you can see Emilia Fahlin bringing Jolien D'Hoore up on the right side.
With Giorgia Bronzini still sat on Vos's wheel. I mean, they've got a two-pronged attack here, Wiggle High Five. I don't know who Bulls Dolmans are working for. It looks like Kirsten Wild may be struggling. She's going backwards very, very slightly, taking the final left-hand turn. They're now into the finishing straight, coming up towards us with Christine Mayerus pushing it on the front here for Bulls Dolmans. Jolien D'Hoore sat on the wheel of Mayerus, has opened up her sprint. She's heading towards the line. And Jolien D'Hoore takes stage one of the Ladies Tour of Norway into Misen. It's a fantastic sprint there, a really good... sprinting is about timing, but that was timing, and a great team performance from Wiggle High Five. That was a long, far too long sprint for Mayerus there to take.
It was a perfect sprint from Jolien.
And congratulations there from her teammate. I interviewed Jolien once, and she told me all about how much she'd learned off Georgia. Just how much experience that Georgia had passed on, and her ability to hide here in the stage is just the kind of thing that she'll have learnt there. And just replay here.
And look
you
at that
can see
move.
that perfect positioning. And Voss is way back as a woman who is consummate in positioning herself.
I could see it happening a bit before because
Yeah.
Lotta actually had to brake a bit, and that put Marianne on the back foot. And that monster move from Emilia with Jolene in her wheel, bringing her up so that she could get the perfect position in the wheel.
Gracie Elvin second there. Gracie Elvin's a rider I've got as a bit of a dark horse to win the GC here. I'd love to see her win a stage race like this.
Yes.
That's a good sprint from Gracie.
It's very good. She's proven it over and over again this year that she can do this, and she has a really good and long, strong sprint. She was second in the Tour of Flanders, and oh my God, I'm so happy for the girls. Can't help it.
I think Gracie Elvin would rather some of those second places were now first places, but
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
But you also need to remember that you're racing against the best riders in the world and that you are among them.
And if you look at the peloton here, there's your top 10 with Jolien Dora first, Gracie Elvin second, Avorica Scott, Christine Majerus for Bulls Dolmans, Elisa Balsamo of Valcar, Marianne Voss managed to finish in 5th place. Hosking finished behind her, as did Kirsten Wild, who was running out of legs there. And your general classification for you, got Jolien Dora having taken 10 seconds on the line, Marianne Voss taking 6 seconds, is now in second on GC, and Ella van Dijk in 3rd place, 6 seconds back, having been out of the bonus seconds on today's stage. Katrin Garfoot now in 7 seconds back, and Lisa Klein, the German champion riding for Savella Bigler, is in 6th place, I think that was there.
Yeah, still in the younger classement jersey, Lisa Klein.
And will there be champagne in the Wiggle High Five Hotel this evening?
Maybe. I hope so.
Is that still?
I think so. I think it's maybe not champagne, but you would definitely get the team together and have a celebration, talk about the race, talk about how happy you are, and I think it is very important to celebrate as well, even though already tomorrow they're going to be on it again, so obviously it's no big party, but
the stage
it's
is
a big win, and the way the team raced, and just to see how they put it all together, how Emilia could put Jolene up for that, in that winning position with 400 meters to the finish.
They've raced, Wiggle High Five have raced a very, very, very canny race today, in that they've only been near the front where they've needed to be near the front. And perhaps, do you think perhaps WM3 did a little bit too much throughout the day?
It's always easy to look back, but some teams sometimes like you like to be in control. Marianne, she proven that she can take seconds during the way, and that might be a thing that maybe is going to make her the end winner in the end anyway. Because if she keeps going for the seconds over and over again, it's 16 seconds to collect in total every single stage. And if you're up there, you have chances to take some seconds, and that might actually be what's going to make the difference in the end.
Chipping away at it, yeah. And some of the riders just coming over, who have been dropped, just coming over the line in front of us here. Some of those went out the back relatively early on the circuits here. So I think we can safely say that was a pretty exciting and interesting stage. It built to a crescendo, as I always like a bike race to do. It starts off relatively easy with, little jabs and counter punches coming at each other, and then bang, we get into the meat of the race. And I thought that was a pretty exciting bike race for everyone to watch, and good to see that we can see it throughout the world here on the UCI channel. So tomorrow's stage. Tomorrow we have 140.1 kilometers between Sarpsborg. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And Friedrichstadt. It's another lumpy day, but it's much longer than today's stage. An extra 40k tagged on the end there. And And we have one classified climb, and 3 sprints on tomorrow's stage.
We're going to do this in English first.
And here we are. We should have an interview here with
Julian, congratulations on the stage win. How was it for you?
Thank you. It was pretty hectic in the
sadly,
final.
Sadly,
the
we're
last
not going to
lap
get
was
those words.
quite dangerous, and you had to be in front the whole time.
Very good in reading
And
lips.
together with the team, I could do that. And
Yes, I
luckily
think
I was in a
tomorrow's
good
stage, like you
position,
say,
and my
it's a
teammate
lot
Emilia
longer.
Fallen, our Swedish teammate, she brought me
Might
in
be a
the
bit more
perfect
wind
position
out there
coming into
because
the
we're
last
coming
corner,
closer
and
to
it
the
was just great.
coastline.
How much
and
do you
again,
think
we have
your
technical
teammates contributed
in the
to
end.
this
You
win
can see
today?
today
Yeah,
when
a
they
lot.
entered
It's
this circuit
thanks to my
how
team that I won
it got
today.
stretched out, and
We
I
were there
had
the whole time,
maybe
and,
expected a bit more
they
aggressive
brought me in
racing from the
front, and
girls, but
that's how I could win.
I think some of the teams also
And
wanted
the course,
to back up
how
their
was it
sprinters
to
for
ride
today.
around in
They know
Eastern
that
Norway?
tomorrow
Yeah, it was
and
beautiful.
the day after might be another story.
Once
Maybe
in a
the
while,
circuits
I
are
tried to
harder
look around
and
me
the weather
and see the
conditions, the
landscape, and
wind,
it was really beautiful,
etc.,
and
might
we were
make
riding
it
alongside
more
the lake,
difficult to
and
keep it together.
yeah,
so
it was nice. I couldn't see the
we
landscape
did
here in the
see
last
a
local lap,
peloton
but I
that
think it's pretty nice.
Congratulations.
it was still
Thank you.
aggressive racing, but not as aggressive as
and one in
Saving itself.
we thought. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's often the case when a peloton is it knows it's going to be a sprint finish. There has to be a sort of level of conservative racing. Everyone's keeping themselves because they know the chances are slim that it's not going to be a sprint finish. And then, of course, you get your the teams that don't have as good a sprinter. They'll be the ones trying to liven the day up. But what of Jolien Dora? I mean, she's had another great season. Still doing a bit of track work. She's a track world champion after all. Just before we go on with that, just see the riders here rolling out of Halden at the beginning of today's stage, just crossing there the finish of yesterday's prologue. And the attack there from Juliette Lebeau, I think, is that 33 early on in the race. Yeah. So there were certainly some aggressive moments in the race, and here for the sprint you can see a rerun of the first intermediate sprint of the day, which was won by Chloe Hosking, taking the 3 bonus seconds from Voss and from Mika Kroger. And then came the mountains, the first intermediate mountain climb, which I believe was won by
It was
Jasinska with Ensing and
Koster.
yeah, Costa behind her. And then the second intermediate sprint into Miesen, crossing the finish line in front of us here, was won by Voss in imperious style, looking over her shoulder. There's nothing arrogant about Marianne Voss in my experience. Nothing arrogant about her. She's just good.
Yeah, and then as well, when you don't need to spend and sprint all the way to the line, you don't. But obviously you want to be sure, and that's why you look back.
Garnier was second on that sprint with Jolien Dora a third, which is that little second has helped her get at least a 2-second buffer as she goes into the second stage tomorrow. And finally, we had the last classified climb of the day, which was one, as we can see, Rosella Rata here of Silence Pro Cycling, who won both of the intermediate.
Silence who won both.
Silence won both of the classified climbs today.
And here you can see the good lead out from Emilia Fahlin, the Swedish
just bringing a rider up there.
Bringing Jolien up in perfect position.
It's a cruel sport in many ways, because after we've gone off air, no one will remember Emilia Fahlin for the work that she did to set up.
I will.
Except for the team, and you, and maybe me.
Oh, and Majoris, she has to start so soon.
Yeah.
that's
But
a long sprint.
she had very little team support there. I would imagine there that Bulls are going for GC and just said to Christine, go if you can. Interesting result there from the fourth place rider from Valcar PBM. It's good to see them up, a small team like that up there in a World Tour sprint stage. You know, that's quite impressive.
It's very good. See, getting the congratulations from my judges. That's very sportive.
We should be able to stay with you for the podium ceremony, which will be coming up very soon. So what happens behind the podium whilst everyone's sorting that you've been on a fair few podiums in your time? First race I went to, I think, where you were on, you won.
Yeah.
Fact, yeah.
You see?
Binder. And so what will be happening now with the riders behind the podium?
I think they would be talking, first of all, after the finish line. You meet your teammates, you talk about the final. It's always a lot of things to say, and today obviously it's all happy faces for Wiggle High Five. You get your drinks, your recovery, and for your lean, you get followed by the organization to the podium, behind the podium, and well, I think it would be a good chat between my judges. She will explain how far she thought it was to the finish line when she had to start the sprint, and with Gracie as well, and all these different jerseys. I think it's always a good chat behind the podium. The anti-doping people are also following you everywhere you go straight after the line. You can't, you're not allowed to go anywhere without them following you. So that is another thing that you might not think about when you are not used to racing. And then you will get some dry clothes on, and then you go out and you celebrate.
Yeah. How good a feeling is that, standing on the top?
Oh, it's amazing. That's what you race for, you train for, you live for. Saying that, before the stage, or last night when I was lying at home in bed, it was pouring down.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be such a wet day for the girls tomorrow. And I thought as well, it's going to be a perfect preparation for them for the Worlds that is later on in Bergen, because Bergen is very known for a lot of rain.
For a lot of rain, yeah.
It is.
But the course is very different. This course is very different. There's a big climb in. Have you seen the course at Bergen?
I haven't, no. But I'm going there later, before the Worlds is on.
Yeah. Have you back to the podium subject? Have you ever been on any podiums where it's where relations between you and the other riders there have been less than cordial, where you won't look at each other or talk to each other? Don't name names.
No.
No.
Never.
No. No arguments.
I think it's very important that you can talk to each other, and I always like to think like you're always one person when you're on the bike, but off the bike you need to have distance to what happens on the course.
Yeah.
It's a lot of emotions, it's stress, it's adrenaline. You're right in the middle of the mix. And I think it's very important to be able to talk about maybe if something has happened that you didn't agree on or they didn't agree on, that at least to get both points of view. Because what I felt or what I saw, what I lived might be a totally different story from another person. And I think that's very important, that you can listen to other and that you can understand that there are different points of view, and let's move on. We talk about it, get over it, and we move on. And I'm sure, like, of course, it's arguments, but you did this and you didn't do that, and then suddenly you were, it will always be that. But it's racing.
Yeah.
But we're all human, and.
So today was the Olindora's ninth of the season, ninth winner of the season. I think anyone would class that as a good year, don't you? anyone would say 9 wins in one season is a good year, especially when we're still in August.
Yes, definitely.
So who is the best sprinter currently racing?
It's so difficult questions. I think, like, again, all sprints, all races are different. You might be the best sprinter on paper, but then, you know, it's all different scenarios, different races, how aggressive raced it's been. Like we saw last week in Vårgårda, where I thought, oh my God, like Kirsten is here, Chloe is here, Mariana is there, and Lepiste. It was so many sprinters, and Lepiste got away with a win. And Jolene, she didn't have the legs last week.
No.
She wasn't even in the first group. And then she bounced back, she comes here and she wins today. And I think that shows how unpredicted racing is, and depending on a bit positioning, because that is the thing with the circuit in Sweden as well, where it's all technical, it's all and unless you need to be in the good position at the breaking point, but you never know when is the breaking point going to be, and that's why you always need to be either you or you can have a teammate being up there controlling it for you, and just helping you, because without the team, like you saw today as well with the last kilometer, Emilia bringing Jolene up. If Jolene would have to make that move herself up in position, she would never have the legs over for winning. Maybe she could still make a top 3 or for sure a top 5, but to win the race, you need to have your teammates sacrificing yourself for you, and that is the strength of a team.
And sometimes it clicks, and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes luck goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't. I get.
Yes.
I wouldn't. The age-old phrase of you make your own luck. I mean, that's all I would always say very true. But you know, there is a little bit of luck in racing. If someone 3 wheels up ahead of you drops the wheel ahead of them, then making the junction again is very, very difficult.
Yeah, that's what we could see. Was it maybe a kilometer and a half before the finish line? I could see Marianne, she was in the wheel from Lotta Lepiste with Giorgia Bersini behind her, and for one or another reason, Lepiste, she had to push her brakes. And suddenly, all 3 of them lose 5 positions.
Do you think Wiggle High Five were going for Jolene or Georgia today?
I don't think anything. I have no idea. It's going to be very nice to listen, to hear what they have to say.
You're staying at their hotel tonight?
Yes, I'm staying up at the race hotel, which is, it's nice because then I get to see the riders. I get to have a look and see their expressions, how fresh they are, maybe tomorrow morning. Yeah. And you can always, even though I think that was one of my things when I was a rider as well. I always liked to talk to my teammates in the morning, like to have a good chat, because then you do get a total picture, because it's not all about how you feel when you're on the bike. It's about the whole package. Like if you're happy, when you when you're in good spirits. I think sometimes it's not all about having good legs. I think 50% of it it's a mind game, and now it's raining. Yeah, and now the rain's come. You can see the umbrellas going up there, and I'm sure some of those children will be asking their mums and dads to go back in the dry pretty soon. Someone's hiding from the camera there. And the merchandise going undercover. It was due to rain much earlier in the day, and we're very grateful that we've got away with it. And we've had a dry race and a good race, as you can see. Still no podium yet. Hope to be able to bring you the podium. You see the Norwegian champion? Yeah. Yeah. Perhaps a bit past it, that Norwegian champion. The Norwegians are very good in flagging. Really? Yes. Yeah. Very. I interviewed someone today recently, and they said that the British
Well, any old excuse to get the flags out, to get the bunting out in Britain, I suppose it's the same kind of thing.
It is.
Perhaps we don't wave them as well as the Norwegians.
The kids enjoying their last week before school starts again. I think it's one more week of school holiday.
Mine back in the UK, I think mine have got another 2 weeks, I think. Yeah.
It's funny actually how we in Norway and in Sweden, in Scandinavia, how we start the summer holiday in the middle of June and then we go back to school in the middle of August. And normally the summer comes later to us, even though you can't really believe that it's summer out there now.
No, not with the rain. And here we go. Just about to get the podium celebrations underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for the prize-giving ceremony for stage number 1 of Ladies Tour of Norway.
It's good. I think it's good to see the
2017.
children that are allowed pretty close, because you know those 3 girls there, 4 girls now, or more girls.
5, 6 kids.
They could be the next Emma Johans.
Yes.
Maybe.
Emilie Moberg, who's from the area.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. It's always you will always have extra time for the kids when they are there supporting you, and to have them standing there on the first row waiting for the winner, and for them, if it's a winner or not, it doesn't really matter.
No.
They are there to support everyone, and I think that's what's so brilliant with the kids. All in their little yellow hats from UNOX, who's also the sponsor for the yellow jersey, the leaders jersey. That is now on the shoulders of Jolene Dor from Wiggle High Five.
I don't know if we ever, I certainly didn't expect that Jolene would have the yellow jersey. All the dignitaries gathering. I wonder what sort of uniform is that, do we know?
Today, 3rd place, Christine Majero of Bollmans. Dolman Bolls,
Controversial. That's an old military uniform from the war with Sweden. Many years ago. We have Christine Majorus, always wears that hat on the podium, I've noticed, always. And her sponsor's sunglasses carefully placed on top. But she wears that throughout the year, I'm absolutely certain.
Yeah, I was saying it's not that cold, but
I think she knits them herself. I think she knits them herself. She should perhaps think about that. And Gracie Elvin coming up in 2nd place, the Australian for Orica Scott, 2nd at the Tour of Flanders back in April and 2nd here today.
And the winner of the stage from Belgium, Wiggle High Five.
it was a very strong sprint from Gracie Elvin
very
as
strong
well.
sprint, yeah. Of course, you were on the team with her, weren't you?
Yes, for 3 years.
And as you were here with today's winner, Jolene Dor, the Belgian national champion. Well, I think that is one of the best-looking national champions jerseys I've seen. I love that jersey. I think it looks fantastic.
The Belgium colours.
Yeah, they go very well with the Wiggle High Five colours, to be fair.
Now at least Jolene know what she's getting, but nobody else.
That's right. She'll have a few bottles of Leffe on that, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, probably. Pure Belgian.
Yeah.
Second place, Grace Elvin.
I wonder if Orica Scott will now be looking perhaps to get Gracie up into the Uno X leaders jersey, I wonder.
And 3rd place, Christine.
Is it a possibility?
Everything is possible. It's racing. I keep saying it, and of course it's possible. Unless, like, when you stop believing, then it's gone.
Yeah.
But everything can happen, and they do have a strong team as well.
they've got a lot of young riders as well. You could compare it perhaps to WM3 in that there are a lot of young riders, and then there's a little core of. But bear in mind, you've only got 6 riders. There's a little core of experience.
Thank you, girls. We will continue. We have a lot of prizes. And Julian will come back a couple of times, at least one more.
And the team have had a very, very good season, certainly a good summer.
Yes, very good.
Annemiek with that course,
Yeah.
3rd place at the Giro, which could so easily have been a win had it not been for poor positioning perhaps on stage 4, I think it was, in Archibald.
Yes, back to the importance of staying alert. When you're going for the GC, it is a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, and you need.
She's also a national
We miss.
Morten, får du få litt ordning plutselig i halten. De vet ikke hva du heter engang.
Whether we're on air or not, we're not.
I don't know, but Lisa Klein is getting the younger Klasseman jersey.
We'll keep
If we are.
talking.